After absolutely battering Middlesbrough in the EFL Cup semi-final and booking our ticket to Wembley, Chelsea have another opportunity to progress in a cup competition tomorrow, this time taking on Aston Villa at Stamford Bridge in the 4th round of the FA Cup. Lads, lasses and the rest of the masses, welcome to the lead-in. Like last time, I'm going to set the scene here because I believe it's important to do so. Chelsea are now on a 9-game unbeaten run at Stamford Bridge, where this game is set to take place. We will be facing Aston Villa, who are currently on one hell of an inform run at the moment. They've won or drawn 17 out of 21 Premier League games so far this season, and have gotten themselves into the Champions League spots under Unai Emery, level on points with the two teams above them in Arsenal and City. This will be no easy feat, and considering the last time we faced them they beat us, a 1-0 defeat back in September, we can't let these recent victories go to our heads. Now, admittedly, that 1-0 defeat was a bit controversial. A poor red card decision that saw Malo Gusto leave the field definitely contributed to our loss, and for the most part we held our own in terms of stats. I'm strangely confident that we can beat this Villa side, so let's briefly take a look at how they might line up. Firstly, let's talk absentees. Villa don't have many, but ex-Chelsea man Bertrand Traoré is away with Burkina Faso for AFCON duty, and there are long-term injuries to Tyrone Mings, Luca Digne and Emi Buendia. Pau Torres, Robin Olsen and Jacob Ramsey are looking likely to be able to return to the side though. I'll be putting Unai Emery's side into a 4-4-2, slightly different to what they usually play, but I think one specific change to the lineup will force this. So, first up in goal is going to be Enzo's World Cup winning teammate Emi Martinez. As I mentioned, Olsen is injured so won't be subbing in for the cup tie. The defence is going to be slightly altered from their last fixture, but Polish international Mati Cash will start as ever at right back. The centre-back partnership will see Ezri Konsa play once more on the right, with a return to the side for Pau Torres who will line up on the left. Finally, next to him will be fellow Spaniard Alex Moreno. In the midfield we'll start on the right hand side, and I believe that Jamaican Leon Bailey will play here. The two central midfielders rarely change for Villa and they won't be here. Frenchman Boubacar Kamara will line up alongside Brazilian Douglas Luiz. To finish off the second bank of four, the ever-energetic Scotsman John McGinn will operate on the left. That leaves two men up top in the striker roles, and thus I believe that both out-and-out strikers in Ollie Watkins and the recently Chelsea-linked John Duran will start, as Moussa Diaby had a rather poor game last time out, so I reckon he'll be dropped for the Colombian. As I said, just a brief overview of what I expect their team to look like. I'm not going to go into much more detail as we've played them before, but I'll touch on a few things a little bit later. Instead, let's quickly take a look at how Chelsea could line up. I'm going to be predicting what I expect to see from Pochettino as always, and then as you guys seem to like me doing my personal lineup afterwards last time out, I'll be doing that again too. So we'll be lining up in the 4-2-3-1 as usual, and first up in goal will once again be Georgia Petrovic. Unfortunately, he was unable to keep a clean sheet last time out, but luckily for us we were so far ahead it didn't really matter. Robert Sanchez is still nursing his injury, so the Serbian starts once again. The back four is going to be unchanged in my opinion from midweek, so starting with the right back, it will once again be a fullback shift for Axel Disasi, who arguably had a player of the match level performance in this role last time out. Malo Gusto is still out injured and won't feature here. The two centre-backs will once again be that rock-solid partnership of Thiago Silva and Levi Colwill, and finally over on the left will be Ben Chilwell, captaining the side after a really good return performance in the Cup. The two holding roles usually pick themselves, but there are some small doubts over Moises Caicedo and whether he came off injured against Middlesbrough, but regardless I'm going to suggest that he and Enzo Fernandez start in the centre. The three in front of them is pretty simple though, as I expect Noni Madueke to start after his great goal on the right, Cole Palmer obviously starts in the central role after another player of the match performance, and Raheem Sterling starts on the left after his assist and pre-assist. Mudryk had a relatively poor game last time out, and I don't think Poch will start him again after he was hooked at half time. Finally, down the centre I will be putting in Armando Broja, who went relatively unnoticed in the Borough game, but was unlucky to have his goal taken away from him by Johnny Howson. Obviously, Nicholas Jackson is still away with Senegal for AFCON, so he can't feature here. This is what I'm expecting, but what would I personally change? Well, honestly, nothing at all. I really liked the lineup from Poch last time out, and I think that if this is the team he goes with, then we'll all be happy. That being said, I could see another lineup here, which I'll briefly go over. Firstly, if Chilwell's minutes needs to be managed, then I could foresee him dropping out in order to welcome back Benoit Badiashile into the left centre-back spot, with Levi Colwill shifting out to the left-hand side. Though I'm not sure if this is very likely, and instead we'll probably see Alfie Gilchrist replace Chile and come in to play right back off the bench like last time. The midfield could also see some changes. As mentioned before, Caicedo could be deemed not fit enough to play, and if that is the case, I'd expect to see Gallagher fill into the pivot instead. Personally, I like seeing Connor as an impact substitute off the bench. His immense energy and running is so difficult to deal with for tired legs, and we'll need that boost in the latter stages of the game in my opinion. Carney Chukwuemeka could also be an option here. He played here when he came on, but I don't think Poch will rush him into this role so soon after coming back from an injury from the start. As for the forward line, despite his rather mediocre performance, Mudryk could come into one of these roles. His pace would be a pretty good weapon against a team like Villa that like to come out and not just sit deep. But whilst Noni is in good form, I'd rather see him play in truth. So those are my predicted lineups, and I'd like to hear from you guys too. So for today's question of the day, answer me this. Which player are you most excited to see play, and why? Let me know in the comments below with QOTD at the start as always. Now let's talk about the game plan. I think that after that incredible performance versus Middlesbrough, there's a really big sense of optimism in the fan base that we can push on from here and recover our season. We're in the final of the EFL Cup, only 4 points off of top 6, and could be through to the 5th round of the FA Cup after this game. However, I do like to be realistic and objective on this channel, and despite all the goals, I wouldn't get too ahead of ourselves for this game. Let's be honest, Middlesbrough were absolutely woeful defensively, and let us create chances at will. What I will commend our team for though, and this is where my optimism comes from, was how clinical we were with those chances. It's been a recurring theme over the last 6 or so months that our finishing has been poor, and it's great to see improvements in that area. Let's hope we can keep some level of consistency. Why do I bring this up? Well, because Aston Villa are a very good team, with a coach that is very good in knockout competitions. We only have one chance here, we have to take it. We will have to be clinical in this game, because the last time we faced them we had so many chances to score and took none of them, which allowed Villa back into the game to eventually beat us. Villa have also shown some signs in recent weeks that their own clinicality is starting to dwindle. I mentioned how good their overall form is, but their recent form has been patchy. After beating Arsenal and City impressively, they then went on to draw in the Europa Conference League to, let me see here, HSK Zrenski Mostar, which I believe is a Bosnian team. Make of that as you will. After that they bounced back against Brentford, before once again drawing to Sheffield United, the worst team in the league. They then lost to Manchester United, before very narrowly beating another relegation team in Burnley after a suspect penalty call and a red card. Like us, they struggled versus Middlesbrough too, needing a very late deflected goal to knock them out of the last round of this competition. And finally, their last game against Everton ended in a 0-0 draw. Villa, like us in recent times anyway, have been less clinical, and this game could be won or lost based on who takes their chances. Speaking of that Everton game, I think it's important to highlight how long ago that was. They will have 12 days of rest/preparation for this game, whilst we only have 3 days. This game is going to be extremely difficult for us because Aston Villa are a team that weaponises energy, with their relentless pressing in midfield, especially from players such as Luis and McGinn, causing a lot of issues for teams that have had the rest, let alone us who don't. This could be a very long night for us, and they might overwhelm us with pressure. However, if we can forego that pressure with neat passing and press resistance, which both Enzo and Caicedo have in abundance, then Villa have shown that they are able to be opened up by even the smallest of teams. We saw in their last fixture against them how high their line was, and we exploited it many times, we just didn't take the chances as I touched on earlier. If we can time the runs right, we may be able to find a lot of success here if Villa don't decide to be pragmatic. I think Levi Colwill in the left centre-back spot is going to be a vital part of our game plan. We saw from the Borough game that long passes from him and Silva were our go-to in the first half, with our team all pushing up very high. Admittedly, we started doing better when we dropped Enzo deeper and played the ball on the floor a little more, but against a low block side like Middlesbrough that was never going to work anyway. Against a high-line side though, this could be money. Brozier, Sterling and Chilwell love to make darting runs behind the line, and I could foresee us getting in from these long lofted passes from the back numerous times. All that's left for us to do is take the chances. On the opposite ends of things, as shown from the game against Middlesbrough and against Everton, Villa have struggled against stubborn defences recently, and our defence was rock solid last time out. Again, we are playing at Stamford Bridge, and in the last 6 games there we have only conceded 3 goals in total, with none of those goals helping their sides to win. I say it every time it happens because it's true, but Stamford Bridge under the lights is a horrible place to try and come and win for any team. When it is dark, that's when our stars shine the brightest. For a score prediction, I'm going to be boldly positive here and say that Chelsea will win this game 3-1, with the Blues going through rather comfortably. Our goals will come from Chilwell with one of his signature runs in behind, Broja with a near post header, and I reckon Enzo will score at the bridge once again. For the away side, it would be rather poetic if John Duran were to score during his audition, as it were. I think this will be a good game, well contested, but Chelsea will have far too much momentum from recent wins to be defeated. We'll have to wait until tomorrow to see if my predictions are correct, so until then I recommend watching one of these two videos on screen and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on you Blues.